Hey guys, welcome to the Dude Real Estate channel. I'm your host, Nate Shields. Today we're going to take a pretty deep dive into some tips and tricks on how to find off-market properties, how to find some really good deals in real estate. Finding a good deal can take a little bit of work, but it's totally worth it. You can make thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands more dollars if you're finding deals that are not actively marketed. It is definitely worth it to put in the extra work. And later in the video, I will show you how one of these strategies worked out really well for me. And I do need your help on something, but a little bit more about that later. So how do you find great off-market deals? Let's find out. So even though technically, if you're using the MLS like through an agent or through something like realtor.com or Zillow or Trulia, if you wait until the listing is expired, if it didn't sell, technically it's off the market at that point, and that's actually a great opportunity to either call or stop by the expired. They're probably not that happy that their house didn't sell. Now, it typically varies how much time an agent will set up the contract to list the house with the seller. It's really usually up to the seller. Usually I see something like 3 months or 6 months. So you can set up some filters on realtor.com or Zillow or with your agent, find out when these properties are expired, contact them. Could be a good chance to find a motivated seller that way. All right, the second tip or trick that I would recommend for finding an off-market deal is networking. Networking is a fabulous way to really get anything done that you want to move your business forward in a positive direction. So hopefully you're going to real estate meetups. If you're not, you're really missing out. Go find one that's local to your area. If there's not one, you should start one. You can find out more about those meetups either on Bigger Pockets, you go to the events tab, or you can go to like meetup.com and they'll have a list of events. Again, if you don't have one in your area, I highly encourage you to start your own. So you can also network just through your family, your friends, your coworkers. Just let them know that you're either a new investor looking to get your first deal, or maybe you're already established a little bit and that you buy real estate. Just letting people know that puts a bug in their ear, and maybe when they have a friend or coworker that needs to sell, you'll be able to get first dibs on that property. All right, so let's talk about direct mail. This is a really great way to find off-market deals, but it does take some money and some time and some follow-up. A little bit difficult to do, and it costs a little bit more, but you can really ramp up if you want to scale up your business and buy lots of properties, whether to wholesale them, flip them, or to buy rental properties, or a combination of all three. A lot of very savvy investors use this method. So you can go to like listsource.com, and actually let's hop over to listsource right now, walk through like building a list and what that might look like. All right, so here we are at listsource.com. Let's go ahead and just build a list. This will be similar to a list I used to use when I did some direct mail to find properties. So you can do it in a lot of different ways. You can look for a lot of different things. Some people like looking for absentee owners or other criteria. But first you want to select your geography, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You could do a whole county. You could just do a single street, a particular subdivision. But for this, let's just go with a zip code. And this is a market where I used to do some flips. So I've got 7,500 records here, but we definitely want to narrow that down because we want some very specific people to target. So we can look at mortgages, see what kind of mortgage they have, if that's something you're interested in. You can select criteria for a property. Personally, I like to build an equity list. I want to be mailing people who have a lot of equity in their home. That way there's a lot of meat on the bone and they're not, underwater in their mortgage. There are other solutions for that kind of stuff, but I personally like a percentage of equity. And so I want them to have at least 50% equity in the property. All right, so that brings our numbers down to 1,500 now. Now you can go into some demographics if you want. You can go into age, marital status, year of birth. If you want to target older people who have lived in their house a long time and maybe there's some deferred maintenance at this point, maybe they have the house paid off, but they're moving into a different type of home, like a condo or a ranch home or assisted living, or just moving out of the area, this could be someone that you target. So you could target, some older residents that have a lot of equity. So when we do that, it comes down to 618 records. You can go into some other things like foreclosure, pre-foreclosures, which can be interesting. You can go with owner-occupied or absentee-owned. It depends on what your goals are with that. And we're going to exclude like corporate-owned properties. And we want mailing address complete most of the time. So that way it'll go to wherever the owner is. So if it is an absentee owner, you'll get, a record that might be out of that state actually. So this is a nice little number, 618. It's kind of targeted, and then you can go and you mail those people on a monthly basis most of the time, but you can pick what you want to do. Now let's head over. So once you have your list, then you're going to want to send letters. Now you can certainly do this yourself. I recommend if you do it yourself that you are handwriting them both the letter itself, most likely, and especially the outside of the envelope. That's going to help your open rate a lot. But here's yellow letters. This is who I use. There are other companies, but they have a lot of different types of letters. They have templates that you can just plug your info into, and they can take care of everything. So it can be a letter. It can be a whole bunch of different types of postcards and stuff like that too. So what I would do, I would send a postcard one month. The next month I would send a letter, and then maybe a postcard again, and you can kind of change some of the stuff, but you'd be surprised. You'll get a decent response rate, anywhere from say 1 to 5%, and people will also hang on to this stuff. So just because you don't get a response right away doesn't mean that you won't get a response in the future. But it does take some time, and you have to be consistent, and it does take a little bit of money. All right, before we get into our next tip, which just happens to be one of my favorite ways of finding deals, I need your help. I'm starting a new podcast where I help investors pretty much with whatever they need help with. Typically, this is going to be a new investor, maybe an investor who's in the middle of a deal that is stuck on something. Whatever it is they need help with, I'm there to coach them through that. So if you're interested in being on the podcast, if that sounds like you, then I would love for you to just drop your information below. I have a Google form, a questionnaire that you can fill out in the description, and that'll get sent to me, and we'll see if you're a good fit to be on the show. My goal is not only to help you out, but to help all the listeners of the podcast out, because they're probably going through or will go through the same thing that you're going through. But let's get on to the next tip here. This one is one of my favorites because it's gotten me the most deals, at least on the flip side of things. So for half my flips, I used a marketing website. So it's an SEO friendly website. So actually, let's take a look at a couple. There's a couple big names out there. First, we're going to go to carrot.com, and then we'll check out Lead Propeller. All right. So this strategy, you're going to be using an SEO friendly website to find deals. Now, the thing I like the most about this is that these are going to be inbound leads. So there's no really outbound marketing. It's not like cold calling or sending out letters. Instead, these people are coming to you. They're signing up with a form. You get their info, their address, their phone number, their name, everything. And a lot of times they'll tell you right away kind of what they're looking to do, why they want to sell their house. These are super motivated sellers. I used carrot.com for several years. It worked out really well for me. Super SEO friendly out of the box. You just need to tweak a few things on the web pages, and they show you how to do that. It's not too expensive either. I think it's $59 a month, I want to say. But it's a very good site. There's another site that's very similar called Lead Propeller. I think they're $49 a month. So you guys go to those sites. I'll link to them below, and you can watch their demos, get to know their product a little more. If you kind of go just anywhere, just say, sell my house fast, Madison, Wisconsin. All right. So first of all, you see all these ads that pop up. I was running Google ads to my site, which worked for sure, but you might have to spend, some money on that as well. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of maybe either doing direct mail versus a website. This was just my preferred way of doing it. And you can see that some of these sites, now some of these might be custom type sites, but this might be, actually no, this looks like a Carrot site to me. This looks very similar to my Carrot site. So right at the top here, property address, phone, email, get my fair cash offer. Actually, that was the name of my site. It's not up anymore, but it was called faircashoffer.co. And so yeah, it's just super SEO friendly. It shows like all these places where they buy properties in the area, and that's why it kind of ranks so well. Even when I wasn't running ads to the area I was looking to buy houses in, it was ranking on the first page of Google most of the time. So I still got some organic leads from that. So anyway, that is the SEO friendly websites in a nutshell. I think it's a great way to go. Again, there's a little bit of expense, a little bit of time in setting up, but they're out of the box. They're very, very good. All right. Another way to find an off-market property is FSBO or FSBO, for sale by owner. This can be a good one because they're not on the MLS typically unless they're paying like a flat fee to a broker, and they don't know how to market their home most of the time. Now, the challenge with for sale by owners is that a lot of times they're overpriced. But the good news is they're usually on the market a long time and you get direct access to the owner. So if they are on the market for a while, you'll probably see some price reductions. Eventually they got to sell and they have to make that decision, like, am I going to go spend money on an agent and have to pay commissions, or am I just going to keep dropping my price until I find out where the market is at? Great way to find a deal there. This is another really great strategy to find off-market properties, and it's basically free. It just costs a little bit of your time, and hopefully you have a phone to make some calls. So you can go on Zillow or Craigslist, and you can find properties that are already for rent. Now, because they are for rent, that means that owner is facing a vacancy, which is like the worst problem, one of the worst problems for a landlord to have. That is a point when a lot of them get motivated to be open to possibly selling. You can call, either the signs or the number on Craigslist or Zillow, or sometimes you can shoot them an email. Just be like, look, I'm an investor. I know that this is investment property for you. You have a vacancy right now, which I know isn't ideal, but if you're, considering selling, let's talk. This can be a fantastic way to find an off-market deal. All right. And last but not least, I think this is one that is either never talked about, perhaps. I've never heard anyone else talk about this, but title companies can be a really great resource for finding deals. So not only are they helpful in the transaction part of the phase, but they can help you find deals too. They have lots of different resources. Every title company is a little bit different, so you might have to call a few different ones or stop in and see what they have. But one that I used when I was in the Chicago area, one of the title companies was Chicago Title, and they had a few different apps that were super helpful to investors. Hang out for just a second because I'm going to show you one of these strategies that worked for me really well and some of what went into that. So one of these deals was found through an SEO-friendly website that I talked about earlier. I had an investor Carrot website, brought me this deal. So let's head over to the computer again and look at what the deal looked like and some of the numbers. All right, so if you're not familiar with BiggerPockets, they have some calculators there, and I calculated this deal that came through my Carrot website. It was technically a condo. It was kind of a townhouse style condo, and this guy had paid cash for it several years prior, but he owed some back taxes for some reason. And the place was in a little bit of disrepair. He was a smoker. It smelled really bad, and just really wanted to kind of move on with his life. He was going to move to a different city and just kind of start over in a sense. So because of these back taxes, it was kind of interesting to work through that type of stuff, but we got through it. So my max price based on these calculations was $129. I figured the after repair value was about $170, and a rehab budget at $7,500 with a projected profit of $20,000. Now, we didn't actually end up doing that great on this flip, but it was a very quick flip, so we did make some money. So the after repair value, actually, we did a little bit more work to the property than we had anticipated, but that also pushed the price up to $175, and we did purchase it for a little bit less. I want to say it was closer to $120, something like that, but then our rehab budget did get bigger because we did end up painting the whole place. We did new appliances. We added a closet to a room to make it a bedroom. And it ended up being a very quick deal. We had it under contract right away and had it staged and sold. So it was a good little deal coming from that website. Hey, thanks for watching today, guys. We will see you in the next video. Later.